because we're not going through so much stuff involving graphs, we're just really going what the coordinate plane is and how to plot and read points. It's going to be really quick today. So I recommend taking advantage of the time that remains to finish the worksheet that I hand out, and then turning it in so you could be prepped to apply it for tomorrow. So if you did not know, this is the coordinate plane. It's the graphing. Very quick. This right here, we zoom in and we see it like this. This is how we, in the beginnings of math, dealt with the coordinate plane. And this is actually used in mostly everyday tables and charts, right? We usually see just this section of the full coordinate plane spectrum, right? For instance, let's say this bottom, by the way, this is the x-axis. I was about to go through all the definitions in a brief second, but yeah, this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. On the x-axis, I don't know, we could have, we used it our whole lives in school with math charts and everything, or history charts. Let's pretend the x-axis represents the year of something. I don't know, right? And the y representing the amount of money you would make for selling who knows what. We would always see just this section of the coordinate plane. As the years progressed, right, the business fluctuated or whatever, but this is how we would grow up seeing the coordinate plane. We would just see this section. This section being called quadrant 1. If you did not know that. Quadrant 1. That you might want to write that down. Do you know why? Well, wink wink, I'm pretty sure you guys already know why. The thing is, my friends, we are branching out. Well, let me just, oh great. Let me erase all that, come over here, and put a brand new coordinate plane. So the thing is, this is where we were in quadrant 1 world, right? If we zoom out and we see the full image of the coordinate plane, we can see that there was a lot more that you never really seen. If this is quadrant 1. This one to the right of it is quadrant 2. It goes counterclockwise, my friends, which means this is quadrant 3 and this is quadrant 4. So there was this whole other sections that we never dealt with back in elementary day math, or you know, pre algebra math. And now we're getting into the coordinate plane and learning what it brings. So points, my friend. Does anybody in here know how to read and plot points on a graph? A couple of you. Well, let's learn. A point. Let's say they plot a point right there. Oops, that's a little off. Let's say they point it right there. The thing is, that point could be written out as something called an ordered pair. So from this point forward, you might hear me say that point, right? You might see a textbook say point. You might see a question on the test or quiz or worksheet say point. But don't be surprised if myself, the test, or the textbook, or whatever the case also says an ordered pair. Because this point can be written with actual numbers. And that is the ordered pair. It's sort of like a location method to help you determine where it's at. So here's the thing. a point looks and is written out like this. X first, Y second, always. So here's the thing. I said it earlier, so pay attention. This whole bottom line, let's say, of the coordinate plane, that is your x-axis. Your x-axis is that line right there. This y line, or sorry, this vertical line is your y-axis. There's your x and there's your y. So tell me, this point goes straight down till you touch the x-axis. If we were to do that, if we were to start here and go all the way down, what number do we hit? What number do we touch on the x-axis?
4.
4, right? It has it right there, my friends. 4. If we go straight down, we hit the 4. So guess what the x is of the order of this point there? It's 4. Do that same technique for that same point, but now heading towards the direction of wherever the y-axis is. If we head towards the y-axis, what number do we hit?
5.
So in this case, it went up by 2, so even though you don't see it, it's your job to know that if this is 4 and this is 6, obviously that one is 5. So 5, and just like that, the ordered pair of that point, the way you would write out that point would be 4, 5. Parentheses 4, comma 5, parentheses. Because those are the locations of that specific point. It's kind of like that whole longitude, latitude type style. It's just a location. That's all we're doing.
That or street intersections.
Mm-hmm. So the thing is, my friends, using that same formula, let's say you were given an ordered pair. Let's say you were given the ordered pair of, I don't know, -3 and -4.
That would go
Well,
quadrant
all right,
3.
calm down. Don't get too excited. Graphs are a very exciting thing, and it's really fun. So, we know at least that our ordered pair is written XY, always. The X comes first, then the Y. So tell me, on the X-axis, where's -3 at?
Do know that.
Well, it might be kind of hard to see, but guess what? You'll have it right there. That's -3. Tell me, on the Y-axis, where is -4? Again,
Yeah.
you'll be able to see this on paper because it'll be right there in front of you. But those are my two ordered pairs. Now what you got to do is find where they connect. If we go straight down, if we actually go straight down, right? And then with this y-axis, we go straight across. Where do we hit? We hit right there, the location of the point -3, -4. So let me erase all this. That is the ordered pair plotted on the graph. It's your job to know to read graphs, and it's your job to know how to plot graphs. Or sorry, did I just say graphs? My bad. It's your job to know how to read points, aka ordered pairs, and it's your job to know how to plot points, aka ordered pairs. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So now comes a couple tricks that we need to keep track of. The tricks is the little fancy stuff that you just need to know, just because you need to know it. Again, I did mention that this is quadrant 1, this is quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So, here's a couple of things that you need to know here's a couple things that you need to know about each quadrant. Any point that's within the actual quadrant itself, not on the lines. We're not talking about on the lines, like a point like this, because I'll get to that in a second. I'm just talking about the points that are actually on quadrant 1. Here's something you need to know about that point. It will always have its x and y as positive numbers, because that's that section of the coordinate plane. Think about it. If you try to plot this one, if you try to write out its ordered pair, what it is 2 and 6. That one right there. 2 and 6. Your x is positive, your 6 is positive. Try to go plot all those other ones, and what you'll notice is, again, its x and y value is always positive. So what can we say about quadrant 1 of the coordinate plane?
Pure positive.
Your points, there's different ways you can say it. Yeah, your x and y value will always be positive, right? That's the trick, that's the rule that I recommend writing down and memorizing. You probably know why. But that's the trick with quadrant 1. That's what you need to know. That is something that could be said about every point that lands on quadrant 1. So now tell me, if we were to go over to quadrant 2, put a couple points all around. Well, test it out. Just test it out. Let's go with this one. What is the coordinate plane, or sorry, what is the ordered pair of that point right there? Well, it is -3 and 4. So what could be said about every single point? Just with this first one that I wrote out. What could be said about every single point that lands on quadrant 2?
Only the x is negative.
Only the x value is negative. The y value is positive. That's something that could be said about every point that lands on quadrant 2. And if you don't believe me, go check out the other ones and you'll be able to find out that it is true. Now let's go to quadrant 3. And this time around, I want someone else to guess other than Logan, because he's having too much fun with this. And I want everyone else to participate. So, I just plotted that one. Let's write out the ordered pair of it. -4. Again, there it is. You go straight up and you hit -4. Then we go across till we hit the y value, and what we end up hitting is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -5. Just with that alone, could you tell me what could be said about every point that lands on quadrant 3?
It's only going to be negative.
The x and y is always going to be negative. There's that point on quadrant 4. And it's written as 5 and 2, 3, 4, -4. So what could be said about every point that lands on quadrant 4? Come on, someone that hasn't said anything. The y is always what? The y is always negative, the x is always positive? Yes. And you don't believe me? Go ahead and plot some points and you will see that they all remain true. That is important because those are those rules that you just always have to have at the top of your head. Does this make sense so far? We are learning a little bit about the coordinate plane and we're learning a little bit about plotting and reading points. And that's pretty much it. But there's a couple stuff that you need to be aware of before you get totally confused. So let me erase everything. Recap of everything we've learned. We've learned about the x-axis. We learned about the y-axis. We learned about the quadrants. We learned about the tricks and the rules with each quadrant. We learned about how to write out points and we learned how to read points in a matter of 10 minutes. Pretty cool, huh? So now let me plot a point on, let me draw out a point that always trips students up. Some of you might get it, some of you might not. So there's a point there. So this specific point is on the actual y-axis. Am I correct?
Yes.
So tell me, I know my ordered pair for that point is going to have an x and it's going to have a y, right? Well, use the same technique that you just learned. Use the same technique that you just learned. If that's my point, head down until you touch the x-axis. Again, the x-axis being this line here. Tell me, when you head straight down and you do touch the x-axis, what number do you hit? 0. If you did not know, this middle part right here, in the middle of the quadrant itself, that is point 0. Okay? So that is your 0. Or sorry, that is your x. It is 0. Now, the y. Well, it's on the y. So the y should be easy. Where is it on the y at?
Gray.
Gray. 3. I promise you, you'll probably get majority of it correct. But I'm almost for certain majority of you are going to be so quick with this, and you're going to be blazing through it so fast, that these are going to be the ones in which you get wrong because you're just going to accidentally flip them by mistake. I already know. Why? Because I've been doing this for a few years. If I just turned 19 on Saturday, that means I've been doing this since I was 14. Because I've been doing this for 4 years. What? Oh, sorry. So that goes to show you that, I probably haven't been doing this for a while. You're right. 15 is when I started doing this. Wink, wink, JK. But, yes. So do not get those ever flipped. It is your duty to always make sure you do the technique of wherever your point is, drive down to wherever your x-axis is, or if it was a point down here, drive up towards your x-axis, obviously. But no matter what, you always want to drive up or down till you touch your x-axis. Then you want to see whether you're on the y or on the x. Let's not do that one. Let's do this one over here. Let's plot this point there. What is its ordered pair of that specific one?
Why? Oh,
The ordered pair, as in if I wanted to write it out as numbers. Remember, it's x, y always first. So, what's the x value? -9. Oh, you're starting to flip them. You're starting to get confused. Look it. On the x-axis, drive up or down till you touch the x-axis. Well, there's no point for that. You know why? Because you are on the x-axis. So, it's -9. But now that you got your -9, drive over till you touch your y-axis. And if we drive over, what number do I hit on the y-axis? 0, which is why your y is 0. Again, I'm almost for certain you're going to, through 1 or 2, get them flipped. And this is a very simplistic concept. Plotting points, reading points, that on the quiz, do not expect just one little question that says, I don't know, it gives you an ordered pair, and it gives you 1 point, and it says, what is the ordered pair? What is the ordered pair of the following point on the graph? And then you have to figure that out. No, what you're going to see is a whole bunch of different ones. A lot more than this. And you're going to need to give me the ordered pair of each of them XY, XY. You're going to have to do that for each and every single one of them. And if you get one incorrect, the whole problem itself is no points. So that's why it's an important concept to nail down how to be careful with the way you write out your ordered pair, how to read and plot them. Okay, my friends. Okay, my friends. Here's another quick one. Very, very quick. Let's say we are given a line I'm kind of doing it handmade style, so it probably isn't coming out perfect. There's that point. There's that point. Does that work or not? So here's A and here is C. Tell me, what is the ordered pair of point A and point C? Point A's ordered pair. What is it? What is it? -7 and -3. Okay. Now tell me the ordered pair for point C. I have a +7.
And +7.
+7, +7. Tell me, let's say if I had a multiple choice, let's say I have some multiple choice options here. A, B, C. I'm just going to do 3 because I don't feel like doing 4. So let's say I have a, option A, B, and C. Tell me, which one of these options also lies on the line? What is it?
B.
B. If we go and plot 2 and 0, where's 2 and 0 at? Well, 2's there, 0's on the y-axis, so that would be option A, totally far from the line. Option B, though, says 0, 2. Well, 0 on my x-axis is right there. 2 on the y-axis is right there. Boom! No need to even check option C. You found that option B is the other point that lies on the line. This is the different types of ways that point questions can be thrown at you. And for those of you taking your GED, this is probably along the lines of what they might give you for a point question. But majority of times you won't be given questions just designated points. You're going to have to incorporate points and ordered pair with a lot of more other graphing stuff, which comes this week. So be prepared.